Welcome to Wisdom Journey, the podcast where we explore the path of building an online business from the ground up. Here, I share my wins, struggles, lessons, and experiments so you can learn, adapt, and grow alongside me. I also interview experts in their respective field. Whether you're just starting out or looking for new strategies to scale, this is your space to find inspiration and practical wisdom. I'm your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and I'm excited to take you on to this journey. Today on the Wisdom Journey podcast, we're joined by someone whose story will resonate deeply with every online business owner who has felt stuck between wanting to grow and not wanting to burn out. Heidi Weiland is a holistic business coach who helps sensitive solopreneurs scale strategy, soul, and self-care. She's been self-employed her entire adult life, starting as an self-taught web developer in 2003, building a thriving agency, growing too fast, burning out, rebuilding, partnering, stepping back, and ultimately redefining success and on her own terms with certifications in operations like life coaching, Ayurveda, and yoga, plus years of experience in business strategy and nervous system work. Heidi brings a completely different lens to entrepreneurship. Her approach combines intuitive strategy, energy management, human design, and regenerative business models to help online entrepreneurs grow sustainably without sacrificing their well-being. If you've ever felt like traditional hustle harder business advice wasn't built for you, today's conversation might just change your entire approach to growth. Welcome to the podcast, Heidi.
Thank you so much, Wisdom. I'm grateful to be here.
Yeah, you've been self-employed your entire adult life, not by design, but by accident. Can you walk us through the
hmm
moment you realized the path you were on was no longer sustainable?
It's happened a few times. The first time was the most impactful, where I started working for myself when I was like 23, like out of university, and I was taking like a fun web development class, learning how to build websites. And all of a sudden, people started coming with work to me. So it was wonderful. I just started doing the work, and it grew into a larger business. I never thought about the business that I was growing. I never thought about how I wanted to structure it, how
Yeah.
I wanted to work and feel in it. And by default, I was overworking. I had very poor boundaries because I was always pleasing the client. So after years of doing that, ended up burning me out. I was so
Mm.
exhausted, but I didn't know what burnout was either. So it took me a long time to recognize that that I was burning out. And so it wasn't just exhaustion, it was my mental health mostly
Well,
that made it clear that it wasn't I could not keep doing that.
yeah. Well, I mean, you mentioned your body gave you the first warning signs. What were those signs?
Having a hard time sleeping was a big one. I had insomnia, and both trying to go to sleep and then waking up in the morning like wide awake and already anxious about work and the rest of the day. So my body was having a very hard time relaxing into a state of calm. Even if I had some time to, sit on the couch or some free time, my brain it wanted to work. It wanted to solve problems. And so it
Yeah.
was really hard for me to slow down. Stress also looks like gaining weight. 'Cause I also wasn't exercising that great or eating that great. And stress makes you also secure, like hold weight on your body. So I was not very healthy.
Yeah. You know, what was the aha moment that shifted you from, oh, the path of burnout and to eventually building a regenerative business?
The aha moment, there was a lot of mini micro moments. Yeah, it definitely was not intentional either to build the business that I have now. It's been the result of small changes made over time. And it's also come about of my own healing journey of what I needed to do to heal myself from that first burnout. Being an entrepreneur, that ended up becoming a new business. So, um, by accident as well. And it's been a very organic process. I would say now, like, it's not so much aha moments, it's feeling what feels right for me that helps me to decide the next step forward, or things like strategy, or how I do want to intentionally build my business.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do you believe traditional business strategies they fail sensitive, intuitive, or introverted entrepreneurs?
Ah, well, I think they're incomplete. There's we don't want to throw away traditional strategy, but actually utilize it within a bigger picture of figuring out, okay, as a sensitive person, you probably work differently than some of the strategies that you learn. A lot of traditional strategies, it's just like, okay, we're going to make a plan. You're going to connect with people. You're going to go do all the work, which is kind of how I started doing my initial business. Um, so you have to pause and figure out, well, how do I work best? Do I work best in marketing and sales and the way that I deliver my services? And what do I need to leave space for? So I know for me, I need like actual time in my day where I'm not working, where I'm taking a nap, where I'm doing something, unplugging. There's this real like permission to know yourself and to take care of yourself as part of business strategy, because
Yeah.
that is what will keep you sustainable. Otherwise, you tend to burn out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about reducing burnout. I'm curious, what would a human-centered skill strategy actually look for a solopreneur, someone who's basically doing everything themselves?
Yeah, so human centered, like what the heck does that mean? Right? Um that the process that I like to use is that before we talk about the scaling, which is basically making more money, doing less work, or having more impact, um, is like what is working well in your business right now and what isn't, and like look at you for the answers to that. So as I mentioned, it's like looking at if like you're an introvert or not, looking at your energy, looking if you're neurodivergent, are like making sure that the strategies that you have are you can sustain them moving forward. So oftentimes we get to growth, and this is what happened with me, is that what we were doing to get there is not sustainable. So we need to change that. So how do we know how to change it? We look to how do we work with who we are, like the human at the center of everything. And that will give us some very different answers than just deciding that we're going to reach 1,000 more people and sell them 20 more widgets. Takes it beyond math to the actual person who's running the business.
Curious,
So, yeah.
can
Does
you
that
walk
make
us through,
sense?
it does make sense. Can you walk us through what a sustainable path to $150,000 looks like without working more?
Mm, that's a really good question. There's definitely not a formula. And you can start with doing the math of like $150,000. What are your offers? You have a $10,000 offer, a $500 offer, a $25 offer. You know, from the income level, you can do the math pretty easily of like, okay, I could sell 15 $10,000 offers, or I'm not gonna do the math in my head, so many $500 offers. And so
Yeah.
that is like, that gives you an idea, but then the next question is, it's like, okay, well, what are those offers? Like, how do they play to my strengths not just in delivering the offer, but in the marketing aspect of it? So uh, kind of balancing all of these. So for some people, they might work best having a 25 or $100 offer where they like to it's like a community, and they want to, um, they enjoy the process of running a community and the way that you market it, which is it's a different sales process,
Yeah.
and that works for them. Whereas some people, that's like, no, never.
Yeah. Wow. I love the way you broke it down. You could have a $10,000 offer, and that's about 15 clients you need. Versus if you have $500 offer, that's about 300 clients you need. Neither of those is maybe terrible, but it's just that each has a system that might work. I mean, a community that has about 300 persons paying $500 a year or in a month, right?
Mhm.
Depending. I mean, it depends on the kind of offer. You could get a community that actually pays $500 per month and get 300. The fact that it's 300, that many, would actually make the community really, really valuable, because now you have different people contributing, giving advice, helping out, and you just moderate,
Yeah,
supervise, and once in a while you make
yeah.
contributions, but it's a tribe of its own. Trying to like have that many number of clients for probably services, that's a lot.
It is a
That's a lot.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and with any of these offers, there's also the cost of the offer. So the cost in terms of time and energy and money. With a 300-person community, you'll probably need someone to help. You need the right software to make sure people have a great experience. You need to have some customer support. There's also those structural things that need
Hey, quick break. Before we continue, I'd love for you to join the Wisdom Journey newsletter. Every week, I share exclusive insights, tools, and behind the scenes updates to help you stay ahead in your own journey of building an online business. It's simple, practical, and built to help you grow. Sign up today for free at the link in the description. Now, let's get back to the episode.
need to be taken into account. It's like in the math too. A lot of the numbers that we hear about, like, oh, I made $100,000. They're like, what did you actually take home? Like, if you're spending $50,000 or $75,000 on coaching programs and VAs and all of that, you're actually not making that much money,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I think nobody really talks about, okay, this is how much I actually took home after everything is done, right? This was the amount I had to myself to do with whatever I wanted to do.
Hmm.
But, the reason why the number is not that big. I mean, some people do 100,000. At the end of the day, they take probably only 5 or 10 grand home. And it's not as impressive, quote unquote, for social media to say, oh, I made 5 grand or 10 grand. Versus I made $100,000. Like really?
Yeah. Yeah, and so that, like, brings in the idea of, like, what does success mean for you and your business? As a sensitive person, if you're kind of like me, it's like less is more. I lean towards the model with fewer people, fewer work, and more spaciousness. That's kind of where it feels good for me. So that means that if I make less money, but I have 2 hours for my lunch break, that feels great, right? I could take one of those hours and have a new client fill that spot, and I would get money for that, but it's not that's not the business that I wanna have, right?
Yeah. I love that example. I love that example. And I feel like we're having a chat, and usually I've been finding myself like, how can I have such a very lean team, right? Probably just 2 or 3 persons, and we're crushing the numbers, and that's it, right? It's like a small
Mhm.
family. I mean,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I love that, a small family. Yeah. That is something I miss right now. It's just me, and back when I had my other business, we did have a small family, and
yeah,
it was it it was really lovely to have that support and that connection. I didn't necessarily do it in a way that was optimal. I probably micromanaged, and I was learning as I went, but the human side of things was really satisfying and something I miss now.
yeah. I'm curious, did you sell that business, the
I
previous business?
did. Yeah, what I did is I sold uh, a part of it, which was the recurring revenue part. We provided the security and updates for websites. So that was kind of a contained package where clients would have a monthly fee, and I had a team for that. Um, and I was really concerned about making sure that my clients were taken care of after they stopped working with me. So I actually sold it to my lead developer, and he still runs it today. So that's awesome. He got all of those clients, that recurring revenue. The rest of it I kept, and that is morphed into what I'm doing today, into my business coaching.
Yeah,
So I still have the branding and the business license.
I love that. I'm
Yeah.
curious. Are you at liberty to say how much you sold it for?
It was a payment plan over a year, I believe a year. It was either $500 to $800 a month. So not a huge amount of money. That was, I don't know, could I've sold it for more? Maybe, but I was happy with that. Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
What would you say are some of the mistakes that uh we're talking about sensitive solopreneurs make when they're trying to scale? And I'm not just talking about sensitive, not just solopreneurs, but solopreneurs that is people that have one or two teams, uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just them, but it's kind of,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah,
They might have a VA or a fractional person. Scaling. So if we define scaling separate from growth, the growth period is a time when you're experimenting and you're figuring things out. So you don't have a lot of repeatable processes. The scaling is when you've found what works, you've created a repeatable process, and then you use that to become more efficient, or make more money, charge more
yeah,
in some way. Um, so mistake, I would say the most common mistake is to scale by working more.
yeah,
So instead of making things more efficient, you're just increasing the amount of work that you're doing, or you're like hiring. Well, that's the second thing. So yeah, you're trying to work more to make more. That's going to burn you out
okay,
totally. Yeah. Yeah. The second thing is to hire poorly. So what I see is people get to the point where they're like, I'm ready to scale, but they're completely stressed out. And they're like, I just need someone to help me. Let's hire like my sister's cousin, or my my sister-in-law's cousin. And they are actually like they're friendly and they know them and they're well-meaning, but they're not and they're cheap. They're not the best fit for the
yeah,
job that you need to get done. So that ends up being it can be a long process, of very frustrating process of them not getting what you want, and then you're paying for them, and then you feel like you're bleeding money, and eventually have to part ways, and maybe not on the best terms.
yeah. That's like, I guess the question is, how do we know when we need to hire? Like, how do we? Because sometimes like we want to
Mm-hmm.
do more, but we're crushing it, right? But we want to do more, and
Yeah.
we might not be able to afford to even hire. Or probably when we hire someone who is not directly connected to the revenue itself. So we hire because we feel like we need to hire. So we just get someone.
Mm-hmm.
They do stuff, but that stuff doesn't really move the
Yeah.
numbers. And so even though we hire someone and we've increased our expenses, we get to a point where the bottom line is not even increasing, the money is not increasing. But like, I just had three persons join the team. What's happening? Well, that's because the thing they're doing has nothing to do with the money. It's like tax that are just
Yeah.
there, but they're not important.
Yeah. Yeah, so those types of hires, the hires that those can happen, but usually at a further stage of the business. Like in the beginning, you need to be hiring people so that either they or you are doing work that is bringing in more revenue. So
Yeah.
if hiring someone to, I don't know, clean your clean your kitchen means that you now have every day an extra half an hour to do something that brings in revenue.
Yeah.
That's probably a good investment. Um, but having them clean the kitchen and then you know, are aren't using that time in a way that's
Yeah, I
bringing
was about to
money
say that.
in, yeah, then that's probably not gonna get you the results that you want. So, being really clear on how that hire is going to contribute to your business growth is very important.
Yeah, go on. And you like you want if like I think there are two scenarios. A business owner I've heard that hiring someone probably to clean the kitchen will save them 1 hour and then allow them to do more. But one of the things they forget is that they are probably at a stage where the what the amount they are going to pay someone to clean is almost the
Mhm.
same as the amount they will make in that 1 hour. And so
Yes.
even though
Yeah.
the idea is fancy, they're not at a point where they can actually pay someone and have
Yep.
that 1 hour to themselves. And
Exactly.
for those who quote unquote reclaim their time, get 3, 4 hours because they had sourced it, the boring tax to someone else. That 3, 4 hours, they end up doing nothing. They just play around, scroll through TikTok, and then they're
Yeah.
wondering, well, I'm spending this amount of money. What's happening? Well, you're supposed to
Yeah.
be working. That's why.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say that you always need to be wise when it comes to how it's affecting your finances, but there is sometimes benefit in like you're hiring that person to um, take something off your plate and then you do something that you need to resource yourself that is not business related. So that's the nap, that's the yoga, that's the because what that does is it helps your nervous system to calm down and to the stress to calm down so then your brain is more able to focus.
Yeah. I
This
think
gives you
rest
access to creativity and helps you to lead your business better.
I think rest is a business strategy. But the thing is that most people don't rest. Like actually
Mhm.
resting gives you energy,
Yes.
strength, and
Yes.
to actually crush it when you're walking, to be like the 100% version of you. But the thing is that the time that they say quote unquote rest, they're not resting, they're just scrolling through TikTok.
Yeah.
That's not resting. You know,
No, it's not.
they're not even meditating, relaxing, probably getting a massage or
Mhm.
something like that, to actually make them feel relaxed so that when they get to start walking, wow, I feel like 10 over 10.
Yeah. Yeah, it has to be very intentional. And it's so easy to get distracted because of the way that our society is and the news and our cell phone.
Yeah,
So to actually like have good rest, we have to be very focused to get there.
yeah. Well, I have to be intentional about it. Okay, I'm curious. Let's say a solopreneur, they feel burnout, but they have great clients, steady income, but they feel emotionally exhausted. Or where do you begin with someone like that?
We'd want to look at what the behaviors are that are leading to the exhaustion. So, and like what's going on in their life? Is it just business? Is there more? Like right now, I know here for a lot of people in the United States, just being a human dealing with the news is extremely stressful and draining. So, we'd want to kind of understand what might be triggering it and then look for opportunities for ways to help a- address it in a way that hopefully doesn't affect their work, but that could be things like changing their schedule a bit so they can take Fridays off or looking at how they're working with their clients. If they're on the screens and it's kind of exhausting them, maybe they switch to just doing audio calls. So looking for ways to reduce the amount of strain on the system and solve like the any of the other problems that are happening that might not be as clear.
Yeah. Well, earlier on we talked about rest. Uh, what does self-care look like as a business strategy, not a luxury?
Yeah. I like to use a practice to help people become aware of their stress, to understand their nervous system a bit so they can identify when they're showing signs of being in a stress response. So that just having awareness of it can help them see, like, okay, I'm in a sympathetic, like kind of fight and flight mode. I need to, what can I do about this? So, how can I
Yeah.
help myself to calm down? And also, what is triggering this? Is there anything I can do to support myself around that trigger? Like maybe it's a certain client that they always get like freaked out, and then so like how can like what can happen around there? If we're talking about self care, it might be taking a walk before you go
Cool.
on the call.
Being, because for me, I'm curious how entrepreneurs can build routines and that help them
Mm-hmm.
intentionally regulate their energy without losing momentum, rather than
Yeah.
being something that happens when they feel tired, right?
Yeah, yeah, building it into your workflow is key. Having a schedule where you know consistently that Monday mornings I do this, lunch times I go for a walk, 3 p.m. I take a 10-minute power nap. Uh, those those start to train the body also to know that, okay, I'm going to have this time during the day where I can relax. I'll be coming into a more regulated state, and then it actually becomes easier to relax over time, by having that consistent routine.
Yeah. You talk about uh, you talk about integrating intuition with strategy. What does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
Business decisions.
Mm-hmm. That Are you familiar with human design at all?
No, what's that?
Yeah. Human design is a philosophy and an understanding of individuals as being having specific designs. It's based on I Ching, the chakra system, astrology. And one of the main concepts of it is that the mind is intended to gather data, analyze data. But when it comes to decisions, that comes from your intuition, from your body or from your nervous system. So when it comes to strategy, that looks like getting all of the doing all of the logical processes, getting all of the information, but then when you actually make the decision of what you're going to do, of like learning to feel within you when you
Yeah.
know that it's like this is the direction to go,
Yeah.
versus I mean, sure you felt that like sometimes you're just like, oh no, I'm not doing that. And your body even like reacts, right?
Yeah. So that example. Uh, yeah. The reason I'm laughing is that for a lot of persons that listen on audio only, when she said, "Oh, she shifted back," when she said that, yeah,
Mm,
that kind of drive the whole sentence down. Okay, we've talked a lot about designing a business that's that aligns with you, right? Not just leads to burnout. A business that you show up and you're like, wow, I love this. It gives me energy.
yeah,
Rather than like this business is drinking from my life force.
yeah.
What's one
Mm.
radical shift an entrepreneur can make today, immediately that reduces burnout risk?
Mindset shift that reduces burnout risk.
More like a practical shift, not just mindset.
Yeah, practical shift, a
Yeah.
practical shift. It is to create more space in your work. Like you do not need to work from like 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. like that. Unfortunately, a lot of people, that's just what they do, especially entrepreneurs. That's what you think you need to do. There are moments for that, but if you do that, have moments to unplug. In my past, I had the moments where I was like working all of the time, and then I wouldn't unplug. And I couldn't unplug even if I tried to. It was just a disaster, right? I was so
Yeah.
far gone. So like like the idea that having space in your schedule in some way it actually works for you. So plan it in there, like, have your lunch, have your time that you like, it's 5 o'clock, you're done, you close your computer, you put it in the drawer, right? Because sometimes you have if you work from home, you have to figure out these tricks so that
Yeah.
your brain can actually turn off, like, take your phone like, no email on your phone, or, like, after 5 if that feels too radical to take
Yeah.
it off completely, like yeah.
I guess my question is, what should online business owners, right, audit in their business if they're aiming for sustainable scaling in 2025?
2025. You know, I don't have the answers to what's going on in the market. I feel like a lot of us are it's kind of a scramble right now of figuring out what's working. So, um, my preference is to really lean into where you're feeling excited and what has been working and give things a little bit of time. So what that strategy is, I can't really say, but I do feel like social media is really changing and people are excited to find other ways of connecting with people and more like human connection. So leaning into that, especially if you're a sensitive person, I think there's a lot of spaces now for online networking. There's more conversations around social media alternatives and like different ways of networking or marketing. So yeah, I'll have to think more about that. I know for me, it's just continuing to grow my audience, speaking my truth, and trying to deliver products and conversations that are helpful for people as they navigate the craziness that is living in 2025, 2026.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious. Can you tell us a moment in your coaching career where a client's transformation surprised even you? Not to say that you didn't believe in them. That's not what I'm saying. But I mean, it was just
Yeah,
so outrageous that you're like, wow. I mean, I had this, but then they surpassed this.
yeah, that's such a great question. Um, let me think. Like going through the Rolodex here. Someone surprised me. So one of my early clients, back when I was focusing more on like the holistic wellness side of life,
Yeah.
she, like we talked about kind of similar things that we talked about today. It wasn't specifically about business, but like that, like it was like optimizing for wellness and I like using Ayurvedic principles and tools. And she has now she wrote a book, she started a business, she's got $1 million business that really incorporates a lot of the values and concepts that we covered in our time together. So it's pretty cool to see her success.
Well,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's such a great story. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. That's a great question. I've never thought about that.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad I was able to ask such a great question. I'm curious, right? We talked about business, but what's one belief about business you had to unlearn the hard way?
Oh, there's so much. There's a lot of unlearning. Um, the productivity has been a big one of that I need to be working all of the time in order to be productive and valuable. Um, that definitely led to burnout and now I see clearly it's like effective work is really what's going to get you moving forward, especially as you scale. And also tying your self-worth to your productivity, to your goal success. That right there is been a big lesson where I've learned to hold goals lately. So it's nice to have monetary goals, KPIs, but the way that I was doing it was so um, it actually ended up working against me because it stressed me out, and then I
Yeah.
became less effective and anxious, and that put me in a state that made it difficult to reach those goals. So
Yeah.
I can see that now.
What advice would you give to business owners like me, solopreneurs, people who just started out?
Yeah, people who are just starting out, be kind to yourself, like do your best and have no expectations, right? Just like believe that you are going to succeed, but don't require it. Right. I so often when we're starting out, we're like, oh, I've got this great plan. I'm so excited. I've got these clients. But then
Yeah.
it's really actually pretty hard. And that is right. Like that is the way it's supposed to be. That like if things are going to come up for you to see yourself. And that's okay. So just have a lot of patience and support and keep going. If you find that you're really anxious about money, get a part-time job, like do what you need to help your nervous system feel safe so that you can focus on your mission work. Because sometimes it takes a long way to get there, and that's okay.
Well, thank you so much for that advice, Heidi. Yeah. Where can listeners get access to your resources and also connect with you?
Yeah, at my website, servicewithsoul.co, you'll find information about working with me as well as my nervous system reset checklist. And usually I have a workshop going or other activities available. So you can check that out. I'm on social media sometimes, so mostly on Instagram, and that's Service with Soul as well. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Heidi. I will put the links in the description so listeners can just click and go directly to the
Thank
site. It's been
you.
an absolute delight chatting with you, Heidi.
It's been such a pleasure, Wisdom. I really appreciate your questions and your conversation. So thank you so
Yeah.
much. Yeah, just wishing
Yeah.
you
Thanks for tuning into Wisdom Journey. I hope today's episode gave you practical steps and fresh ideas to keep moving forward. If you found value, be sure to subscribe and share this podcast with a fellow creator or entrepreneur who'd love to learn too. And don't forget to sign up for the newsletter and the link in the description for more resources, experiments, and lessons straight to your inbox. Until next time, keep building, keep learning, and keep walking your own wisdom journey. Yeah.